Tukatech is pleased to announce the release of TUKAcad.net Suite. This includes TUKAdesign for pattern making and grading, and TUKAmark for marker making, as well as CAD converters. The biggest advantage to using TUKAcad is the ability to communicate to all CAD systems. This includes manufacturers of plotters and cutters as well. Fabric designs created in Tuka Studio can be easily placed into the pattern pieces, and then this data can be sent directly to a fabric printer. This can be a big help in the design room when you want to pre-visualize or engineer a stripe and plaid repeat and simply print this out on fabric. And through TUKAWeb, users can upload this CAD data with the design and have it printed out at a nearest Tuka center. Every style and marker created in TUKAcad has a report function that goes directly to Microsoft Excel. If you're currently using Excel for spec sheets, this can be integrated as part of TUKAPlan Pro. Let's take a closer look at some CAD functions. Here's an example of how we can walk our sleeve into the armhole. First, I pick up the walk tool and I click on the point on my sleeve. I'm going to snap it to my front armhole. And then I can walk along the contour by clicking or using the arrow keys on my keyboard. I can click on the next piece to the back to jump over. I can see that this sleeve is far too small for this armhole. To find out the measurements of our armhole and sleeve, I will go to the segment menu and open up the compare length window. I'll begin by first selecting the front armhole and taking the measurement, then selecting the back armhole and adding those two measurements to give me a total armhole of 18.798 inches. Now I can select my sleeve cap and subtract it. I can see here in the difference that my sleeve is smaller by 1.78 inches. Now, if I click on my segment length, I can come in here and type 18.798 inches, and I'll make this adjustment along the curve of the sleeve cap. I click OK, and then I update, and now I can see that I have a 0 difference on my base size. Creating new pieces in TUKAdesign is a very simple process. I begin by clicking the Build Piece tool and simply clicking in the area that I want to create. Each click of the mouse will highlight in color, and when I'm finished, I right mouse click and I have a new piece created. Simply lift it out by clicking and dragging on the piece. TUKAdesign also has the ability to make edits to more than one piece at the same time. For example, I want to extend the length of my front and back 3 inches. I can simply window up over the pieces and type in the amount I want to extend and click OK, and it extended both pieces. To remove seam allowance on my piece, I take the Remove Seam tool and click in a clockwise direction from point to point. The seam has been removed along this segment. To add a seam allowance, I follow the same steps. I grab the Seam tool and click from point to point, and then when the seam window pops up, I type in my seam width and click OK. To add pleats along a segment, we first select the segment, go to the Pleats menu, and choose Create Multiple Pleats. Now you can choose either box pleat or knife pleat, and here we type in the total number of pleats we want to insert on the segment. I'm going to put a negative angle for the first pleat and the last pleat so that my pleats will go across the panel. Finally, we type in the depth of each pleat and click OK. To close the pleats, we can select the pleat and close the selected pleat, or we can go and close all pleats. To begin grading, we first go to the sizes, and I'm going to insert my smaller sizes by hitting the Insert button and typing the size names. To get the larger sizes above medium, I hit the Append button and type in my large and extra large. So I have 5 sizes. Now to add grading, I click on a grade point and I type in the value that I want to grade in the X and Y dimensions, and then I can copy grading and paste grading from point to point. Here I'm going to put a 1/2 inch grade in my Y-axis. I choose equal to apply this value to all sizes. Now I can copy this grading and paste it to point 3 and 4 only in the Y. At point number 5, I will grade in my Y-axis a 1/4 inch. I right mouse click and choose an equal grade. And in the X-axis, I'm typing 1/8 inch. Then I can copy that grading to the next point and simply paste the X grading. Now I can copy grading from one piece to another by selecting the points and pasting. I copy the grading, select my points, and simply paste. Adding shrinkage to the pieces is a very simple process in TUKAcad. You have 3 different ways of doing it. We can add it proportionally, change the absolute value, or insert the increment. If I know the percentage is 7% in the X and 5% in the Y, I see my value change. That's a 2.9 inch difference in length and 0.73 inches in width. If we didn't know the percent, we can simply type in the increment. If we know that after wash it shrank 1.5 inches in length and 1 inch in width, the computer calculated that to be 3.5% in X and 6.8 in the Y. Next, we decide if we want to apply this to all the pieces in the style, or just the pieces on the working area only, or I can apply this just to the current piece. The other options are to scale and shrink with grading. What that means is we will apply this shrinkage value to every size in the graded nest. And finally, we're going to only scale and shrink the net pattern. Our seam allowances should not change when we add shrinkage to the patterns. So we click OK, and the shrinkage has been added. If we zoom in, you can see that the shrinkage amount has been added to the piece description as well on all pieces. To order the marker, we go to File menu and click on Order. First step is to select the style that we want to make the marker for. In the Material field, we define what fabric we are going to cut. This is going to be self, because you see here that my pieces are in self material. Next, we fill out the ratio for each size that we want to cut. The second step is to define our fabric width. Here we're going to make this 57 inches. This is my table length, meaning I don't want to make a marker longer than my cutting room table. We can see here down below on the status bar we have a total of 216 pieces. Next, we're going to have the computer nest the marker in the Smart Mark algorithm. Here we click OK, and the nesting has begun. Multiple markers can be loaded up into a nesting queue, and this could be running in the background, or you can run this overnight. In just a short time, we have a marker which is 11 yards and 3 inches at 88.8% in less than 1 minute. Markers with block fuse will also be nested in the Smart Mark algorithm. All tools, functions, and commands in both softwares have video tutorials and lessons. The lessons and videos may also be downloaded from TUKAWeb's website. Any person with a little fashion background and basic computer knowledge can learn the system in just a couple of days. Now that Tukatech has launched the software rental program, anyone with a computer can rent the software starting at $25 a month. Users can then upload their plot files on TUKAweb.com, and they can be plotted at any FedEx Kinko's or at the nearest Tuka Center.
This is a great opportunity for freelancers and small businesses to get automated without any out-of-pocket expenses. It really is that simple.